11:59 at Radio Free America. This is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the walls. The chair is against the walls. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
Yeah, welcome everybody to our Daily Gun Show. We come to you live every day at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific, approximately. For about an hour and 90 minutes each day, we talk about guns. We do 3 gun-related topics, different topics throughout the week. We run them live on YouTube, and we're simulcasting it over at gunchannels.com, where we're watching the live comments that come in from all the people that watch the show live. We really appreciate our live viewers. It really keeps the show interactive, and we like to think we're moving into this new media where it's all about the audience being part of the show. We usually take the audio occasionally and post it on iTunes as a podcast, so we encourage people to leave us some feedback on whatever platform it is you listen to the show, and we appreciate that. It lets us know where people are. It also would let us get recommended to more listeners, we hope. So we do appreciate that favor for everyone who does it. We have 4 hosts. 3 of us are here today. We got Dano jumping in from Illinois.
Glad to be here.
And Smeggy is in Michigan, I think.
Hey, how's everyone doing today?
And I'm down here in Arizona. Bob, on the run from the law, and not going to come in today, probably.
I thought he was on the run from the eclipse, dude.
Well, he doesn't like the eclipse, and he felt like if he ran fast enough, he'd get away from it.
Well, it seems to make sense.
Well, anyway, today is episode number 381. We'll be going over the week, the show for the week. We'll be going over social media, and we'll talk about the events that are coming up in the calendar. Before we dig into the show, though, we usually take a break at the beginning, see if anything happened overnight, or in this case, over the weekend.
The sun ran away. That happened earlier today.
The continuing, ongoing, sickening saga of let's tear down all of the historical markers and statues and pretend it never occurred. That's occurring all over the country.
What about it?
The tearing down of statues and other memorials.
Well, right.
Some cities are doing it in the middle of the night so that nobody can say anything. I mean, it just, you know, it sickens me when people think that they can change history as if everything has always been beautiful. No, we got to this place through a hard road that our ancestors paved.
All right. Well, I don't know. I don't agree with all of that. But I don't know. I guess I missed the beginning. I mean, the fact that this is happening is what you're talking about, or something happened?
Well, it's happening across in numerous states where they're tearing down, whether it be Civil War monuments or other war monuments that they feel are that after being around here for, you know, well over 100 years suddenly need to come down now.
Is it possible any of them been controversial for 100 years? People got sick of them already?
Well, if they've been controversial, then how comes we haven't heard about it?
Because we don't live there. I mean,
well, I mean, if something's controversial, it usually makes there's some sort of public outcry for change.
I don't know about that. I mean,
you just don't go from
where the majority doesn't get to rule. We don't live in a democracy where the majority rules. So when someone is a minority, a subset of the population, they don't have to have the loudest voice in order to be heard. So you say that you haven't heard about somebody who has a problem with a memorial to something. I don't suggest that I keep track of anybody, any memorials, and who's in favor of them and who's not. Now, if you're talking about you're depending on the media, who has a massive agenda, their main goal is to get you to watch them, and they're going to say whatever they can or have to in order to get you to watch them. So if their job is to give you a complete picture of the complete situation, and they know that by giving you a portion, you have to stick around longer because you don't understand the whole thing, because as soon as you understand the whole thing, it's not news anymore, and you'd move along to the next thing, which might be someplace else. I think they're the ones who are causing the most, because I can't imagine a thing from the Civil War that wouldn't be controversial locally.
Oh, I mean, I understand it may be controversial. It's the way that it's being done, which seems not the country I grew up in, where we have to do things in the middle of the night. We have to do things without polling the people directly to see what people actually feel on it. The politicians just do it because they feel it's the politically expedient thing to do.
Yeah, I don't know. We're talking about artwork. We're talking about statues.
Statues and memorial markers.
Yeah.
Overturning Confederate veterans, and I do mean. And by the way, after the Civil War, the Confederate soldiers were declared as U.S. veterans. So turning over a Confederate soldier stone is turning over the stone of a U.S. veteran.
Well, now you're conflating things. So a statue that commemorates something isn't the same as a memorial to an individual, like a grave marker. So we're not going to go around equating every statue that exists for every weird thing for, to be as important as a grave marker, an individual's grave marker. I certainly don't. And as far as things going down in the middle of the night, I could care less. Most of these things go up without everyone getting together and saying, we need this here. So just because it exists, and if it's controversial and it gets removed, I don't know, I guess you could have some opinion on the way that it gets removed. But if it's going to be, I doubt very many of these things were pounded into sand and then walked on. I think they were probably taken down and moved to either a museum or someplace where they weren't right in the middle of everything. And I suspect that the issue isn't with the fact that history happened as much as some people won't shut up about it, and they put it right in the middle of their town square so that other people who get sick of it have to look at it every single day. And when it's the government sponsoring it and saying, this is what you got to talk about because this is what we've decided to put in our town square, I could see that being a consensus of the people to say, let's get this thing out of here because it's annoying. Put something else in here that doesn't piss off half the people. And that doesn't tell you that history didn't happen. It just isn't rubbing other people's faces in history they might not want to hear about constantly.
I think that's a nice story. I'm not sure where you got it from. These are things created long before you and I were born, and we all know that government doesn't move without some group trying to push their weight to get something done. Government just doesn't spontaneously do things.
Well, again, yeah, I don't know what's going on, so that's why I'm...
You're right, they don't spontaneously do it. That's because they saw what happened in other places and said, oh, crap, I don't want that happening here. Let's just get rid of the dang thing.
I'm talking about the reason that the things went up in the first place.
Oh, I'll tell you, I don't even know. I don't even care. Maybe we'll spontaneously start the show sometime.
Well, we're already late, so I figured it was a topic because I've been hearing nothing about it. Everybody's... most of the shows I've heard, either live shows or whatever, have been people yelling and screaming that history's being defaced or history is going to be erased because we don't have this statue. And yeah, I mean, a statue keeps it alive, I guess, to some extent by putting it in your face. But I don't think by lack of a statue, you're somehow denying how history happened and putting it someplace that's more appropriate. Fine. I think
that depends on, is that where the event occurred or something? If it's not, then you're right. If that's where a certain speech was made, then it is.
People just don't care about. I live in the midst of tons of history people could care less about. There's little plaques, places that people ignore completely. There's little dedications on places that people wouldn't even know are there because no one would stop and look to see that there's a little plaque to dedicate something. So again, if you're going to just remove it for the sake of making history disappear, then yeah, that's evil and there's a problem with that. But this is 2017, and if we're talking about moving the statue someplace, I don't even know what we're talking about. So that's the thing. I think there was a march somewhere that got a bunch of people pissed, and nobody likes how that went down. And now everybody's acting like there's this scourge of history being erased. I'm still looking for examples. Who started this whole thing?
As an example, Texas. That's the article I saw this morning. Is over the weekend. There were several cities in Texas that had statues removed.
Several cities in Texas had statues removed because they didn't.
I didn't save the website. I wasn't planning on coming in and having to cite my references.
Yeah, well, same here. I had an opinion, and now I'm having to justify it. So same thing here. I don't think it's that big a deal when a bunch of people don't get sick of something and they ask to have it removed. Not everything is permanent. That's all I'm getting at. And a lot of these memorials are ignored until somebody wants to move them, and then everybody acts like they're the most important memorial they've ever heard of before. I don't know. I'm just used to the ones that are out here, and the people completely ignore them out here. And you probably wouldn't even know about them until you tried to move one, and then the group that it pertains to probably get up and say, hey.
Well, and not everyone is necessarily interested in history, but we preserve it for those people that are, both now and in the future.
Yeah, we preserve it in museums, and we preserve it in books and in history, but do we have to preserve everything right in everybody's face?
When it's a landmark where where an important event occurred, yes. Can you imagine something in the future being where Arlington Cemetery is right now? Just go ahead and move the.
You think every
different location?
What are we talking about? A statue in South Carolina that started all that?
I'm talking about the general effort that's going on, primarily in the South, of moving various statues and placards.
They've all had to do with the Civil War, as far as I know. So none of them were the Arlington National Cemetery.
Well, I'm using that as an example.
You can't use the #1 example of, okay, sure, that cemetery happened after the Civil War, but since the Civil War, it's had massive significance. It's literally our national cemetery. You're going to take that as an example when we're talking about
the battlefield of Gettysburg.
I'm using roadside stands as an example of a little placard on the side of the road that people ignore. And if somebody said, you know, it costs us $40,000 to send somebody out here and clean up the garbage and take the spray paint off of it, and then there's so much liability because people keep stopping here thinking it's something and it's not. And you know what I'm saying? These are the roadside stands I'm thinking of. A statue in the middle of town that just gets nothing but graffiti on it, and it's costing $60,000 a year because everybody's sick of seeing the statue, so they start playing with it, and it just becomes like a neighborhood thing to screw with it. So sometimes you take a statue like that and you put it in the museum's courtyard, so now it's not in everybody's face pissing them off, and it's still history for people that want to research it. So, and then now you're going to use National or Arlington, and now you're trying to say Gettysburg. So again,
you didn't accept my one example, so I offered another example.
Yeah, but still, I'm saying you're saying massive extremes, and I don't think anybody, Antifa, obviously I'm pro Antifa now because I don't want to see the majority of people pissed off constantly. So, or at least some amount of people pissed off constantly. So I'm trying to have an open mind about this concept, and now all of a sudden, no statues. Every statue is sacred. I just don't see it.
Nope, that's not what I said, and I've never said that. I said with no discussion of the general public in that area. They just take it upon themselves, i.e. the current administrators, and do it. It took a group of citizens to put forth effort to get something put up. It should take a group of citizens to put forth votes to say we want it taken down. And then if they want it taken down, take it down.
So you don't agree with them just trying to cut it in the bud and, you know, not have to come to having two massive protests from both sides and possibly getting in fights and all that kind of stuff. The city's probably just like, I don't want that hassle to come here.
I don't want government to be whipsawed by public opinion in regards to what they do. And that's
supposed to listen to what we tell them to do.
They're being being whipsawed by public opinion. Well, you want opinion polls to determine what direction the government goes?
No, but you're calling it that. But another person might look at it and say, hey, these people were decisive. They saw that something could come this way instead of letting negative press come here, instead of being, considered the next Charlotte. And we should have seen it coming, but we did nothing. Instead, we basically allowed it to be a big spectacle. They just went ahead and removed that statue, which nobody cared about.
If the time ever comes that there are multiple Charlottes, I might agree with you. But since right now it's a one-time event, I do not. We don't do things proactively because something happened once.
All right. Well, maybe that's what got me going this whole thing, because it started out with, it sounded like this is a scourge that's been going on for a long time, and now it's finally come to a head with another additional brick in the wall, and it's just the one time, right?
I mean, it's kind of like what, after Newtown, everybody panicked. Oh, now all of a sudden we got to do all this crap because of one incident, a terrible incident, absolutely. But it's not like it's happening every other week at every kindergarten across the nation.
Right. And I don't want to live in a country where just because the traditions rule everything, and that just because something happened, that now for the rest of time, that place is sacred and you can't do nothing there, which doesn't mean rip down Arlington or nothing. But it means that every time somebody felt something was significant, if you start doing that, pretty soon there's no more land left. Mm-hmm. Everything is super significant to somebody.
We have a vast amount, and that's an understatement, of public lands. So I don't think we're at a tipping point. If we were an island nation like Japan, I might be much more likely to agree with you.
But we have a limited amount of city courtyards and areas, in the middle of a park. We might have a lot of land outside where nobody cares, and nobody's talking about that. But anyway, so I guess, that was massive diversion from the subject, other than maybe having something to do with free speech, maybe. But anyway, it's just been bothering me. That was my backlash to everybody that's been sitting around acting like the whole world is run by Antifa and we're just the whipping boys, and everybody's just getting punched in the face again by these horrible bullies that do everything. They're just a bunch of fucking people complaining. And the more you let them bother you with the complaining, then they accomplish what they wanted to do. So this week we're going to talk about Antifa, and then we're going to talk about social justice, and I think that's the theme for the week, right? That's pretty much what we're talking about. I think we'll talk about Facebook groups next that are gun related. Then we have the events over on Gun Channels. Every single day we talk about a gun shop and maybe a gun of the day. Try to talk about a movie. Looks like we need some movies in our list. And as well as whatever history might have happened and that kind of thing. We try to talk about those kind of things on a daily basis. But getting back to our daily subjects, tomorrow we'll have the Second Amendment issues. Why is the second not first? Interesting. Then we have a wild card topic, which we're looking to fill on Tuesdays. If you have ideas for that, let us know. And our state of the state tomorrow is the rectangle state of Colorado. Then we will move into Wednesday, where we talk about entertainment. And how about a Gun Channels book club on books from people such as John Lott from Masada Ayub. We do have a channel over on Gun Channels that we call the book club, so we could look at that. Good idea, bad idea on Wednesday is shoulder holster for Ed. I don't know who Ed is, and we've talked about shoulder holsters before. So we'll talk about that, and then on Wednesday we usually do the hashtag Daily Gun Show Showdown. So all those people that like to enjoy, or that do enjoy Instagram, that like to post pictures, we encourage you to use the hashtag Daily Gun Show. If your picture has something to do with maybe something we talk about on the show or something that would be interesting to talk about. And then on Wednesdays we look at those pictures and we judge them and we figure out which one's the best one, and that person wins the internet for the week. We have Thursday is our CCW day. We'll be talking about training with your dog. Then we'll talk about gun stuff. When you go to the doctor, leaving old gun magazines. Interesting. So leaving gun magazines around. Then we do training, and we'll be talking about trainings for specific situations. Is that worth it, or is general purpose defense training better? so that's interesting. Scenario-based or general situational-based, I guess. Then we'll get into Friday, where we talk about gun tech, and we'll see if gun or if lever action guns are still relevant. Then we can talk about the gun business and what gun sales work best. So we'll help solve the gun industry there. And then finally, we talk about alternative gun topics on Friday, and it'll be have each moderator describe their favorite gun match game, then vote on the best. So we're going to be talking about what competition sports we like best. And then, of course, statues and social justice.
That sounds like a good week.
Sounds like that's the end of it.
And I'll go ahead and take this moment to say, look out, it's time, it's time for the Tactical Pop quiz.
There's not even any music or anything. So
did I surprise everybody, including my fellow host?
Yeah.
I'm still skeptical.
So if one of our hosts could help appreciate, I would greatly appreciate that. We do a screen share, and the question is going to be, what is the make and model of this firearm? So what is the make and model of this firearm? Do you see
the answer? Yeah, I saw the answer. I'm waiting to see the firearm.
All right, there we go. What is the make and model of this firearm?
That would be the Queen of Hearts? King of Hearts? Smith & Wesson Model 10?
Nope.
Nope.
Smith & Wesson 19?
Maybe these pictures are just too hard.
Well, you don't zoom in.
No, this is as far as I can. I can zoom like in like that.
You're saying they can't see it. Did you click on Dano's screen? Because it might be because you're playing the music, like they're seeing your icon instead of the gun.
Yeah.
Well, you're the boss of the show today.
Oh, I'm an idiot. All right. I'm sorry. Sorry, everybody.
Okay. Yes, that would help.
Smith & Wesson Model 1918? No. Model 42? No. Nope, wasn't a winner. Colt Cobra? No.
What might that say there?
Smith & Wesson?
Exactly.
Colt Special 38? No.
What is that? Scrambling.
Colt Official Police? No. That seems like 5 times through the countdown.
Well, I'll give them a little bit of slack because, like I said, I don't think they necessarily saw it unless Dano was talking. Because I'm an idiot and I always forget that.
Well, you did click on my picture though after you mentioned it, right?
Well, yeah, but that was after the first like 2 times around.
We still get a lot of Smith & Wesson answers.
Well, those people are
not
just
Smith & Wesson.
Police positive? Positive.
Good one.
Well, not even getting questions or answers anymore. People have given up.
They've given up. Well, in that case, I'm going to call this one, it's too good of a question for apparently to our audience today. Maybe our audience tomorrow, but not our audience today. I'm going to call this a bust. The model will go into the archives and be brought up in a future quiz. Thank you for trying, but it's not a Smith & Wesson, and it did actually say Colt as a tip for the future right on the grip.
Also, the name, the file name of the picture was the name of the gun, so nobody even looked up there and just read it. Colt 1903, no. Colt 1859 double action, no.
Now we're just guessing random Colt numbers.
1859. I don't even know if the Lightnings were that old. Anyway, so
that is the tactical pop quiz for today.
And there's no winner because none of y'all were. I'm trying to figure out how to incorporate statues into not winning the quiz. I'll figure it out. So none of y'all could move that statue. So we'll go into that. We talked about the show this week. Now we're going to talk about social media, and specifically Facebook, the stupidest, one of the stupidest of all social medias, and the groups that are gun related over there, which are the only things good about it. So before we do, we usually take a break between the first and second segment of the show each day to feature one of the members over at Gun Channels. Gun Channels is the place we built a while back. It's a community. It's focused on firearms. Lots of stuff to do over there. We encourage you to check it out. It's completely run by its members, and with that in mind, we feature one every day. So today it's PBR. So I don't know what PBR even stood for. Patrol Boat. No. Patrol.
Pabst Blue Ribbon?
No. What is it? Patrol Boat River? That's what it was. And he had this picture of some, I don't know, French Foreign Legion dudes or something that certainly
like desert rats sort of a theme.
Yeah, but they looked like the picture, the black and white picture, these guys piled into a Jeep with a bunch of machine guns, looked exactly like Jar Jar Binks standing next to Jar Jar Binks. So anyway, he had a funny icon. And he was, I would say, a consistent member of Match Chats, Mondays and Wednesdays for sure. He didn't care so much about the fantasy nerd garbage they do on Monday, but I think he liked the political stuff and the gun stuff when it was available. And then he just kind of took off. So one of the members that was main, what'd you say, like one of the main pillars of Gun Channels.
One of the early members of Gun Channels, and his area of specialties was very much in the millisirp category, and was kind of, you know, one of the go-to guys if that's something that you were new to or interested in or had a question of. There was an excellent chance that he might be one of the guys that might be able to help you out. So he was definitely an asset to Gun Channels. And he was in a chat sometime over this weekend, I think.
What? PBR?
I thought so. But it was just a short ditty.
About Jack and Diane?
Yeah.
The American Kids?
Bueller?
I think they were growing up in the heartland.
Doing the best they can.
Bueller?
All right, so then we'll go into Facebook. Facebook private groups that are gun related. So you neither one of y'all even use Facebook, huh?
I don't.
Nope.
I don't use Facebook, so I got no idea.
My accounts get hacked and taken over by people just fine without me being involved in Facebook.
Let's see. So Clover Tech has a pretty big group going on over there, and he's saying anti-gun big time. If groups try to exist over there, they don't exist long. If they in any way attempt to violate their policies and then make it worse, Facebook charges or changes and enforces their policies willy-nilly. Unlike the big YouTube thing, our gun stuff can be handled on another platform very easily. Do it and support the alternatives. I tend to agree with them, but let's not deny that Facebook, the reason we're talking about Facebook is because it does hold a significant chunk of your daughters and wives and granddaughters' attention. So that's, I think, the only reason Facebook even exists. If the girls weren't using it, it wouldn't exist because it's stupid otherwise. I mean, I'm not anti-social media at all. I really like different platforms. I just think Facebook is a really dumb one, not allowing people to archive and not allowing recall of information just seems stupid. It was designed with a kind of a dumb intent, I think, and
superficial, I think, is the word you might be looking for.
That's a good word. Yeah, exactly. And so it never really intended to make things better. I think that I would appreciate Facebook a lot more if at some point, once they figured out their significance in society in the last few years, that and they acknowledge that, then they would have built it into a more useful tool. Because right now it's just it's like the daily organizer that everybody uses that's garbage because it's just being filled by TV Guide or something. But anyway, so I agree with CloverTech, but because there's so many people using it, it's like we were talking about on maybe Hank Strange's show the other week with YouTube or wherever it was. We were talking about this with YouTube that you know, there's enough people there as a platform that it'd be silly to ignore it. So I do post stuff on Facebook. I just don't interact with it with any kind of interest or passion like I would on any of the other platforms because so few people I know use it. So especially use it a lot. I mean, there's, like I say, there's the people that I know that use it a lot. It's because their significant others are, and they kind of have to, because that's, you know, by default what the method is that they keep in touch. And very few people that use it a lot because they enjoy the platform or they somehow get something out of it. So I don't ignore it is all I'm saying.
If somebody needs Facebook to keep in touch with their significant other, they have a really screwed up relationship.
Yeah, whatever. So if you're going to keep up with your grandkids across the country, you're going to depend on them to just reply to an email once in a while, then that's the relationship.
Well, your grandkids are not your significant other.
Well, all right. So I chose a word that let you pinhole it, but that's not my method. My message that I was trying to get across. The idea is that if the people are going to use it in such a degree, then it's silly for us, it's ignorant for us as gun people to completely abandon the platform. We need to be populating platforms that we might not enjoy because it's necessary for the information to get out there. So I want to give it, you know, whatever, give a pat on the back to the people that are continuing to build stuff over there in spite of its being kind of anti any kind of message we have, because like I say, I think it's necessary. So I'm not going to give it too much attention. I certainly don't give it much attention in my own efforts, but like I say, I do acknowledge that it's worth acknowledging and it's worth paying some attention to.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, the potential over there is pretty big. Who the heck was that did the Glock arm brace thing or whatever? And they put the video on Facebook and it got up to like, I don't know, whatever, you know, like 1 million views in the first week or something. It's like, holy crap, like there is a huge audience out here for this thing. It went completely viral. Was that Tack Daddy and Marco or something? I feel like he had something to do with it. But either way, I mean, it's like the potential is there, but I personally don't use it. I liked Clover's statement after the fact where it said, you know, use it as like a portal to push people over to like all your other stuff. So it is cool if you can use it and get a big audience and then you drive them all to your YouTube or, you know, gun channels or Instagram or whatever, then that's cool. But I just personally don't use it. And everyone's saying it's the government spying on you. Well, yeah, they do use it, but I wouldn't necessarily call it spying because people voluntarily put all that stuff up, you know? So then when the government's like, hey, I wonder who this dude is, they just look at all their posts and like, oh, thanks for telling us all this information about you. I mean, you know it's going public.
If you voluntarily put your Social Security on the outside of every mail envelope you send, don't be surprised if somebody gets your name, address, and identity.
That just reminds me of there was a South Park where Cartman, like, he was always walking around on speakerphone, like talking loudly, and then being like, quit spying on me, Kyle. He's like, dude, I can hear you. Like, you're on speakerphone. And then he got the thing. It was, what the hell was that called? I forget. But it was like a thing that like jammed into his brain. So everything he thought, it said out loud. And he kept going, quit spying on me. It's like, you're saying it out loud. I can't help it. So that's what it reminds me of when people post stuff on Facebook, then complain they're getting spied on. No, like, they're just using what you told them. So try to be careful of not telling them too much, you know? I think people do that a lot sometimes. They put too much info out in the world.
That, and they share it with people that person then shares it with someone else who they do not want it shared with, but they don't think ahead of time, and suddenly it's out in the wild, so to speak.
Well, now we're talking about like gossip or something, but what if that was a good idea or an idea that was creative, solution to something, and now somebody shares it, and then somebody shares that with a second, third person or whatever, and then now they go, oh, I can see how that applies to my project, and then a new way to accomplish something is achieved. So we're talking about the negatives of it, but how does it change a society? I mean, we grew up and we existed as a country and as a world really in a place where, I mean, it wasn't possible. Somebody, I guess, could journal every day and somehow have a means to produce that so that other people could read it, but there'd have been very little audience for that, right? Just because it was such a unique and odd thing, and it would have been so much stuff. But if you look at it, pretty much everybody is self-publishing, whether or not you want to believe it, or whether or not you want to take credit for the fact that you're creating content and publishing it, whether that be words that you put out there telling people to feel good today, or that, remember that tomorrow could be good too, or something, or if you're putting out a picture out there that, brighten somebody's day or make somebody giggle or something. All that is content creation, and we are changing, I guess, per generation, but almost faster than that, it seems like, to some extent, the way that we do stuff. So, again, having somebody years ago who would have tried to sit down and explain so much of their day-to-day stuff would have been out of place. But now that it's such a common thing, I don't know, is that a bad thing that we're going to have a society where everybody could know everything? Obviously, you don't have time or interest to choose to know everything about everyone, but since it's all out there, robots will certainly know everything about us, and they're going to know exactly what flavor pudding we probably want for dessert. Little stuff like that, little conveniences. Probably, the robots will know what we want before we even realize that we want it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, then your Amazon drone can just, go ahead and ship you a case of ice cream or whatever when they see you changed your relationship status.
Well, I mean, in a different way, isn't that the technology that I forget what it's called, that one device you speak to and then it can order things for you?
Yeah, but you're still telling it to do it. It's different than it kind of just figuring out on its own.
Talking about the refrigerator, yeah, you got to tell the refrigerator that you want more milk, and then when the robot delivers the milk, you got to drag it from the fridge.
It's like half the size of a coffee can. It's got a female name to it or something.
Yeah, it's an Amazon thing.
Somewhere, and it talks to you. It's like, you look like you're low on taste.
Yeah, and Apple has a device similar to it. But it's like those are just, one off from becoming that sort of thing where it's like, last time you ordered this, are you sure you want to order that?
No, seriously. And the AIs or whatever, they're like answering machines, right? First ones were clunky and dumb, and then only a few people had them, and then all of a sudden they're just part of our phones.
Right.
Anyway, so that's Facebook groups, right? It's basically the future. Let's all just deal with it and go on Facebook. If you don't like Facebook, tear it down.
Well, I definitely don't like the guy that's running it.
Yeah, they're talking a lot about that guy. I don't pay too much attention to that guy either. I've seen that one movie. That's about it.
Yeah.
Oh, now they're talking about the McCain. So, McCain, one of our two guided missile carriers out there, or whatever they are.
The USS McCain that doesn't know how to drive a ship?
I don't think so. They were talking about, I was listening to NPR today. I had to move my radio dial because, I don't know, the clips or something screwed with my reception. So I would listen to NPR, which I didn't even know I could get on AM here. And certainly interesting listening to that this morning. It's super biased. And I haven't listened to it in a while.
Just
but,
a little bit.
Yeah, it was crazy. So anyway, they were talking about that it was such an odd situation because there's literally physically people that stand around looking to make sure stuff doesn't happen. It's like a very busy area, and the crews come on board. Like there's like a whole other group of people that come on board or that wake up and do their job is like to look out and be eyes everywhere, and that it was weird. But and this is super biased NPR, so I'm not saying I know anything about the Navy, but the way they've described it, there's only 2 offensive missile boats out in that area, and this is one of them. And we got people over there who are screwing around. So why are we just assuming that it's our Navy being a bunch of McHale's Navy guys? How do we know this isn't some sort of, oh, look, I dumped a bunch of stuff and ordered it right in front of our big boat, so that they'd have no choice but to get into trouble. And maybe this is choreographed so that they took out one of our offensive boats.
Or there was a third player out on the field, and we don't want that information out there.
Oh, like we are aware of it and we're playing? Well, it could be that we're playing the game right now. But, yeah, I don't like it with one of our assets, I guess, our offensive assets.
Yeah.
And stuff. I don't think those things accidentally go around driving into stuff, since they never do.
But submarines do have, I won't say a habit, but a record of colliding with other objects at times, whether it be our submarines colliding with somebody else's ships, or another submarine, or somebody else's submarine colliding with one of our ships.
Wait, is the McCain a submarine? I thought it was like a ship.
No, it's a surface ship, but it's uncommon, but it does happen when all of a sudden a submarine will have damage to the conning tower, which is the vertical part that sticks up, because that's the highest part of the ship. And the only way that can happen is if they collide with another ship at sea or submarine.
Or one of them big piles of garbage that live out there.
Yeah, they get tangled in the 6-pack carrier.
Well, it ran into an oil tanker, right?
Yes, that's what they're saying.
That's what they're saying.
Oh, that's what they're saying. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just saying that there could be a third party involved that we don't know about. Now, whether that's another ship, a boat.
NPR said that this is like really busy, like a highway section of the ocean or something. So it's not like it's unprecedented, or it's not common for boats to get into wrecks out here because they're so used to being aware of what's going on. So it's odd that it happened. I don't know enough about boats, but like I say, it just seems weird to me that we're just blowing it off as like, oh, Navy making mistakes.
Yeah, that seems like way too much of a rookie mistake.
Yeah, for something that big.
I mean, these guys are drilled over and over and over and over again, and it takes decades to be able to rise to the top to be able to give the commands to do that sort of thing. So,
and they don't get a chance.
It's not like,
oh no, throw the book away. I'm going to do it this way today. I'm going rogue. I'm going to drive into the port like
exactly
the wheel. It's not like the Exxon Valdez where they're half drunk and there's one guy awake. This is like a Navy.
There are so many checks in the process of doing everything, checks and rechecks, repeating orders backwards so that it can be verified, that the chances of errors are infinitesimally small.
I like what Tony said. They should just let a missile go and teach them go near boats.
Well, that's a lot of oil on board to be set in the spot.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was the McCain, and I don't like how we have a boat named after a guy who's still alive. What happened to the tradition there?
Exactly. And the same thing with and it's true of the Bush, which is an aircraft carrier.
Gabby Giffords now too. Yeah, it's a big thing now. I don't think people should be achieving things like that when they're still alive. That should be
and it should be like a certain amount of time after they're dead, because a lot of times, well, we don't want to speak ill of the dead, where the truth doesn't come out about somebody, both the good and the bad, until maybe 20 years or more after they're gone. Okay. Did we go offline or what? Is it just me?
That's our traditional dead air, where we should probably, if we had our act together, we'd have like some kind of a sponsored commercial right there that would pay for some bills. But
yeah, I mean, I would keep talking if I just didn't know if my internet went down. It's like Bueller.
Oh, that's the second time you've used that joke today.
Ferris Bueller.
So then I guess we'll go to the gun shop of the day, and it says email from Squip. So somebody got that email open?
Yeah.
Yep.
I can do that.
That's good because I saw it there at the beginning of the show, and then all of a sudden I went back to check it, and it wasn't there. I was like, what the heck?
Well, that wasn't
He
the
has
email
both
anyways. So
a store and a range by the same name. I don't know. Maybe you want to do it on 2 different days.
no, I'm gonna do them together just because we'll just do them together.
Okay. I don't know how many photographs he's got, so you have to.
He's got a bunch, but we'll
on
whip
your own
through them.
picture, so it stays up there all the time. And then,
Christ.
yes, I'm sorry. When you're in charge, there's responsibilities.
So
I
we
don't know
had,
what you're talking about, but okay.
so we had a solar eclipse today. The one thing NPR did do a good job of was talking about the significance of that. I thought that was kind of neat. You know, they're usually all about science and whatnot. So I think they did a pretty good job of.
There we go. Jay's Sporting Goods.
Yep. Jay's Sporting Goods. Because there are 2 locations. Oh, this one's the one in Gaylord, Michigan.
So thanks, Squip, for sending this in.
So we try to feature a gun shop every day. This one's coming in from one of our listeners. And have you been to this shop before, Megan?
I've been to the other J's, but I'm sure they're pretty similar.
Jay's, that's the range.
No, that's the shop, and it is a more of a sporting good. Oh, that's dumb.
What?
Oh, it does say this excludes CCW and open carry. All right,
There you go.
so at least that's nice.
So if you had your CCW bow on, you wouldn't have to take it off.
Right. So yeah, I mean it's a lot of I guess it's kind of similar to like a Cabela's and stuff. There's definitely a lot of clothing and hunting and camping stuff. But it is a pretty good store. Holy crap, look at all that archery.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I need to learn how to do archery one of these days. So they have some cool stuff too though.
It's good. Like they got some black powder stuff in that first photo.
Plenty of shotguns.
Yeah, I like that right there, how they have them so the customer could just walk right up to the rack. You don't have to ask an employee to go say, hey, so you can, from 10 feet away, you can't really tell what it is.
Right. And I've seen a lot of times those will be like the used ones or something, and then the ones behind the counter are the little bit more expensive ones, but these look new. So that's neat. I do like those stands too. They just cut a chunk out of the wood.
Yeah.
It's just like a rustic log, but oh yeah, holy crap, there's a lot of stuff there. There's that SIG display.
What do you think's in those ones up on top?
The lever actions?
A couple of pictures back, those ones that are up in like frames up on the top of the wall.
I don't know.
Like fancy display stuff?
The picture frame kind?
They seem to have tags hanging down though.
Well,
Yeah.
they have for inventory, but there's glass there, so I'll bet you those are store collection or something. But you know, when the ATF comes in, they don't care if it's your gun or what. You'll have to have some kind of tag, and so they don't have to take them out of those glass cases. They'll probably have them tagged so the stupid ATF can do their stupid inventory.
Oh, okay.
That's an interesting way to kind of make a shadow box out of some of your firearms.
And not have to dust them all the time, because you go into some of these shops and have that, and after a long time, they're all the same color because of the dust.
Yep. Snap caps. Got a
Man,
they have
that.
quite a large selection of long guns.
Yeah, which
Yeah,
doesn't surprise me. Like I said, for probably a lot of like hunting type stuff. But there's a lot of handguns in the case too. I mean, I like that they cram those in there.
Usually, with a case like that, I would expect more like a 2-shelf, and they got a 3-shelf going on.
Plenty of
What is
scope.
that a symbol of? Oh, that's a scope.
Yeah, it was Leopold. Bunch of ammo and reloading stuff.
I don't know about
Powder.
that ammo shelf. Go back to that ammo shelf. Look at that. That looks like way too much weight versus width of them shelves ratio. That's a crazy accident waiting to happen.
Look at all those.
It almost looks like it's curving. it could just be the picture, but doesn't it look like that doesn't go towards the
It does. It looks like
horizon?
It's like the one far edge is leaning over.
Yeah.
a
You
lot of-
nailed it, G-Webs. That's all those boxes of powder are about to come crashing down.
Yeah. It's probably just a tilt of the camera, but
Well, that
does
one,
look like
I was looking at. If that's all lead and stuff, that's powder though, I guess. But still,
yeah.
no worry about those knives falling over.
No.
You know, something I typically don't see even at these very large stores are steel targets, except for the 22s.
That is tipping. Because this is that other side. This is the side that was weird. You can tell that is higher, or that is further out than that point.
Yeah.
That's
Have
got to
you
be
guys, stores that actually have steel targets for pistol and rifle?
almost never. They can eat too much. There's not somebody really doing them that can do them in any kind of number that can get them out on the regular. There's a couple of those really big places, and even them, they're only in a few stores. Nobody can really supply everybody with the AR-500.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like Kydex holsters. There's just so many people supplying them, and there's not one that the store can go to get a supplier. There's just too many little ones. That's my theory.
Oh, they got a cop and donuts.
Oh,
But I've seen 22
I like the
in
idea.
most places.
well, that's little. Yeah, anybody can make those.
Yeah.
But the idea of walking into a place where you can sit down, it's like a store just made for me.
Well, that Cops and Donuts is a chain in Michigan where it's a bunch of cops that make donut shops, and they got a chain of them. So that one's incorporated right into that store.
So Gaylord is like up here somewhere. Detroit's down here.
Are you serious?
Dusty's over here.
Yeah, that's like I've been following them on Instagram. They've got maybe 6 stores.
That's kind of cool. Might as well take that stereotypic image and put it to making you money.
Yeah, and they do stuff like that. They have patches and themes to the stores.
And I think it's really cool to do exactly what you just mentioned as far what I'll call memorabilia, but real memorabilia.
And I think they call them like new districts or precincts. Like every time they come up with a new, it's a new precinct. And they're one of these places that makes like different donuts every day. So it's not like Dunkin' Donuts where it's the same stuff
Right.
every time. I mean, there's different donuts of the day or something, I think.
Yeah.
Never ate one. Smeggy, you ate one?
No.
See
Well, if
what
they're changing them each day, you're probably more likely to get something fresh rather than something day and a half old.
Oh, yeah. They can't sell donuts that are old. Nobody wants to eat those. He's gross. So they just throw them away. They feed them to pigs and stuff, I think. They probably put them in boxes and feed them to pigs. Or else they just throw them away.
All right. I think that was the end of that one. But oops, god damn
And
it.
the other one was Jay's.
Yeah. The other one is in Claire. But I opened the wrong email, so sorry. Give me a second here.
So they're talking about the eclipse again, that the fish were biting during the eclipse. That would have been interesting to try fishing during it. So they were talking about how the Apache don't like the eclipse, so they don't go outside. They close their windows. They don't eat or drink during the eclipse, and it's bad juju for them. I had not heard of that before.
Well, what I wonder is where did they get the science to be able to predict when there was going to be an eclipse to know when to go, other than, gee, it's dark outside, I must have to go inside.
Well, because eclipses are the opposite of being able to look at the sun. So they're important because you're looking, where the sun is, and you can see where all the stars are. So it's a unique time in when you're looking at the stars, especially unaided, right, without telescopes and stuff back in the olden days. So they can never look at the sun and see what stars are behind it. But on days when there was an eclipse, they knew the sun was behind them, and these guys weren't just guessing anymore. You know, they were doing pretty complicated math equations to figure out what was going on up there. So this was a time, an eclipse is a time when they can literally see 180 from where the stars, like what the stars would be 180 from where the sun is.
You're
So,
saying the Apaches on their own before white men were doing advanced mathematics?
oh, no, sorry.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I thought we were talking about all olden peoples. The Apaches are young as shit compared to the Aztecs and stuff I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Olden days. That's when they started to figure out when the eclipses would be, because the eclipses were significant, is all I was saying. An eclipse is a specific day that's significant for when you're trying to map stuff out. So that's when whoever the olden day Indians back in the day, when they first walked over from Alaska or from Russia, that's when they figured out when all the eclipses would be. And I'm guessing that information just got distributed to everybody. You know, all the shamans and stuff just told
But
people.
what's also interesting is the information loss, because like the ancient civilizations had that, but then what we would typically call old, meaning like 200 years ago, did not.
Yeah, but did they lose it or just not care anymore? I think they just didn't care anymore.
I have no idea.
That's a whole other topic. That's probably a topic, but we probably shouldn't do that one while we're talking about this gun shop.
Right. So this is Jay Sporting Goods in Clare, and if you guys remember that Army surplus store that had all the trucks and everything, that was next door to this one.
Okay.
So open every day.
Open
Get
7
the
days a week.
kayaks, check in
Just
your
the way
guns, sub CCW, blah blah blah.
Is it possible for you to flip through these pictures faster? Because I almost saw one.
Those are all like the same things.
Just the first
Just
two.
trying not to make it take 5 hours.
I like to see that they're selling long guns. So you got some open spots there. And yes, I'm serious.
Nice little Henry display. It's a lot like the other man. They really do cram those guns in there.
Yeah. One's got 4 tiers.
SIG suppressors, apparently.
SIG is definitely kicking out those displays every place. They must have spent a match on that.
Man, look at that.
They got a zebra up in there. And the buffalo, I guess, but they got a zebra up in there. So somebody must have been out and about. That's what Texas.
So someone took a trip to the Detroit Zoo.
Well, didn't a zoo get busted into or something, and a bunch of animals were running around a while back?
Oh, I don't know.
$45.
Is this
That's
a
not too
relatively
bad.
new thing, this where people bring their guns in to have them cleaned?
Oh no, I've known about that since forever.
That seems pretty expensive. I mean, maybe it says including all black powder. Maybe black powder would be worth it, but that seems kind of expensive.
I've never seen that at any of the stores in my area, but this is the second store that we've highlighted where I've seen a thing about cleaning guns. And it's like, I never knew that was a thing.
Oh yeah, definitely a thing. I'd say $50 is a good average, so that's not bad.
Oh, really?
$40 is low.
Do they so they must do a really good job then, huh? They like take it all apart and go nuts with it.
I guess it depends on the store.
I'll tell you what, if they clean it like I clean my guns, it ain't worth $45. Because I just whip a bore snake through it and wipe down the big pieces and call it a day.
No, I'm guessing more than that for $40, but maybe an hour or two. Not 2 hours, probably not.
Hey, standard capacity magazines. Well, they definitely have plenty of reloading stuff.
Yep.
Too much.
Well, different location. So they got different
There's
customers.
some nice little steel targets.
Those glass displays go all the way down the wall of that store, it looks like.
Yeah.
With a lot of guns that aren't even for sale at a castle.
Well, they might be for sale. I mean, if you're, if the store is in the business of making money, and if they can sell it for more than they bought it,
Crazy. Not with glass and stuff. I mean, I know stores that have guns up that ain't ever going to sell them guns, ever. They'll be gone and they'll be in their room
that
before they.
glass may just come off as one unit. The back of the rifles are really not attached in a shadow box. The box itself just comes right off the wall.
It could be hinged or something.
Yeah.
Could have been hard to make them hinged instead of bolting them all up there, I suppose.
it's not a 6-sided box. It's only a 5-sided box.
Huh. Anyways, definitely have a lot of powder.
Yep.
I'm surprised Squib even ever left this store.
Now, those bottles that we were just looking at, would you say those were 5-pound or 8-pounders? Or the ones in the bottom row?
I don't have any idea. Don't they normally go with 8-pounders?
Well, I couldn't remember whether standard was 8 or 5, because 1 is typically the small one. 1 pound.
Yeah, that's like a 1-pounder. I don't know. I feel like 8 pounds kind of your standard thing, but I don't know. I've never bought a big jug like that.
How much? I'm just curious. How much would an 8-pound run?
Depends on the.
Dusty saying
Right.
8 in the chat.
Yeah. Okay. So those are 8-pounders, and it isn't kind of like $20 a pound a pretty good price. So, you know, maybe you get a little bit of a deal for an 8-pounder, so it's at least 100 something.
20 to upper 20s, depending on like what you said, depending on what it is.
Yeah. So I'd guess those are $150. Why not?
There's some sort of parts or something on those boxes up there.
Yeah, I'm thinking those because the seams
Enhanced.
line up with the paneling below it. That's what I think those are 5-sided boxes, not 6-sided.
Of course they are, but that doesn't mean they just hinge up and you can just grab guns out of there. Are they going to go up there on some kind of magical ladder? Try to enhance on that.
I'm trying. I've been clicking this button. It's not doing nothing.
They might just be hung on 2 nails up there. Doesn't have to be a hinge.
Now they're hung on 2 nails. I like how these scenarios just developed for Dana.
I'm just saying that I'm looking at the little placard they have, so to get people interested in not just what it is, but maybe buying it.
I wonder if I turn my mouse on, can I use the mouse wheel? There we go. I can use the mouse wheel.
Go ahead and
Come on. What the hell happened?
It'll probably pixelate, but say caliber is in the middle, serial number and model,
Great.
caliber, serial
Model,
number.
caliber, and serial number. Yeah, neat. So that is probably for inventory. Very cool.
And I think I would agree with you that since they're putting the serial numbers up there, they're not for sale. Because they're not going to make a placard like that. For something that's going to be.
At the end? I guess so. All right.
Yeah, it only lets you open so many at a time.
No, that was all of them. It's just I never really know when it's.
Oh, okay.
All right. So sorry about the chat. I obviously wasn't watching that during all that. So that was a super crazy long gun store of the day, but technically it was 2 of them. And thanks, Squib, for all those pictures like that. We really got a good handle of what those stores look like. I've been to the one in Clare, and it's nice.
So there's 2 J's. I'm assuming they're owned by the same group or family.
Yeah.
And again, if you happen to have a gun shop that you would like to present to the world, just send the description along with a couple of photos and maybe a link to, if they happen to have a website, to dailygunshow@gmail.com, subject line Daily Gun Show or gun store, something like that.
To be honest, it really helps if you say like gun store and then its name. Then it helps me keep track of which ones are which.
Or it would be better if you take those pictures and everything and then post them on gun channels or on Instagram or on Facebook or someplace, or make a YouTube video and then link us to that. Because really the whole point of this is to get people sharing their gun shops on whatever platforms they enjoy and get some extra links out there. But we'll also accept just the pictures themselves.
Right. And as long as we nail this one down into the ground here, if you're doing it on Instagram, use hashtag #DailyGunShop. That's kind of a cool little hashtag. I've seen a couple people using it so far.
So for the Wednesday deal, are you doing the # Daily Gun Show or Daily Gun Shop?
Daily Gun Show.
Yeah. Hashtag Daily Gun Shop is just so people can share their gun shops with each other. So if you're interested, go check that out and look at what some other people are posting. I'm not saying those are all the ones we're going to feature. Those could just be people using it for their gun shop. I'd love to see everyone use it. And it becomes the biggest hashtag in the world.
That's a great idea. I never thought of it that way. Yeah, but to put give some legs to the effort that you're putting forth to take those photos in the first place.
All right, so that's our gun shop. We try to feature a gun shop every single day, and with everybody's contributions, we're doing that. So appreciate that. And we do the same thing with a movie, but we don't have a movie listed here today. So once somebody out there throw a movie out there, and that'll be our movie of the day. While we're waiting for that, so it'll take some amount of time for people to start throwing some suggestions out there. I will take a minute and plug the Loophole Tour. So we just threw a link out there to the Indiegogo campaign, which is still going on. It's got about 8 days left. I suspect a bunch of the people who are watching this show have already participated in it, but I still would like to encourage you to help share the project. We do have the patches. I don't have the pictures handy here, but we do have the final look at the patches. They look really good, and we've got enough funding to get them going. So anything additionally now that comes in will go towards gas. We posted an update the other day to talk about some of the different destinations out there to get an idea how much it's going to cost to get to them. So again, we want to encourage people to, if you haven't already participated, to help share the project. Put links out there, let people know that it's happening, and thank you for that.
Quick question. Earlier today, you did a chat, van chat, and you had put a link in, I believe it was Patreon. For those that are interested in possibly checking that out or being involved in that, I'm assuming that's the Patreon for the Daily Gun Show, or a separate Patreon?
Yep, we've got a Patreon for gun websites as well as the Daily Gun Show. So if you're interested in following along on the tour and whatnot, all the other projects we're doing on gun websites, then check us out on the gun websites Patreon.
Okay, so that's where the link was, over there?
Over there, we're going to be doing a new perk, I guess you'd call it, where we started one for $12 a month, and we'll send you some business cards from the gun shops that we visit, some of the surplus stores and stuff. But as I was visiting the shops, going on the Red Dawn little leg of the tour here, I was thinking it would be cool if I could buy stuff at the gun shops. So thinking of those boxes that people buy that are like grab boxes or guest boxes, or whatever it's called, where they pay a certain amount a month and they're going to get something of value in the mail each month. I figured I'd do something like that with the Patreon. So if somebody wants to throw $50 at me, what I'll do is go to a gun shop or a gun show and spend 25 of that on you, and then $5 to send it to you. So you're basically throwing 20 bucks towards me to keep gas in the vehicle, and then you're leaving $25 at each of the gun shops and gun shows that we go to. So ideally, if we get a bunch of people at this level, they're giving $20 to the project, let us get out there and facilitate it, and then I'm able to buy a bunch of cool stuff and send it out to people. It'll be random, interesting things, but I think that'll be a whole nother dynamic to it. If I can walk into a store and I know, okay, I've got 8 people participating here this month, so that means I can spend money at 2 shops or 2 gun shows or something. That'll be a whole nother dynamic if I can leave money with people. So I figure that might be a way people are saying that their gun shows suck, or their shops, their local shops don't have cool stuff. This is a way to let people be part of moving money around. And that's really where our power is as capitalists, right? So I'm hoping that that'll catch on. We'll see. I don't think I've seen anybody do anything like that on Patreon.
So that one is indeed a standalone perk, where the other perks tend to build upon themselves. That one is a standalone thing.
Yeah, I mean, they're built on themselves in the respects that you'll still have access to. Like when I posted the van chat earlier, I posted a link to that. So anybody,
right? I guess an example would be is if I gave $100, that would not necessarily include the $50 perks as part of the $100 gift.
Yeah, I mean, nobody does that. But if somebody wanted to give me $100, I would buy $50 worth of shit for you.
Well, several people have. I'm just saying that normally they tend to build upon each other the way we've done in the past.
We're talking about Patreon here, not Indiegogo.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm getting confused.
Yeah, because The Indiegogo is just to get patches out to everybody and to fund the trip, and that'll have an end date on the 29th when Skynet becomes self-aware. The Patreon is ongoing, so that's where, like I say, nobody's dropping $100 a month on us on Patreon. On Patreon, I'm bringing in 331, and like 21 of those just came in this last couple of days. So yeah, we're not even making $400 on Patreon. Where
And
the
I have heard a couple people mention that aren't going to be able to make the 29th date, but they have mentioned that they would like to support the effort. So for those that maybe, whether it's the end of the month or the first of the month, what would be the best way for them to help you out?
share the project, let people know about it. That's really the main goal. Let people know about the shops, and let them know that there's videos coming out on the regular over on the Gun Website's YouTube channel. That's really the best way, because at this point, it's all about getting the word out.
Mm-hmm.
Right on. So that was the break while we were waiting to see some suggestions for movies. So first one I see is from Patrick, Rambo First Blood, Part 2. And then nothing on the Gun Channel side? Nothing on the Gun Channel
All
side.
I'm seeing is veteran-funded zombie
Yeah,
movie.
Range 15.
Oh, anyone seen Range 15? Okay. So now I don't know which one of those came out first. So why don't we do Rambo First Blood Part 2 tomorrow, since we always default to Gun Channel side first. And I will zap that down here. Oh, we already had a movie tomorrow. So that'll go down into the list. Thank you for that suggestion, though. As soon as I can find a date where we needed one, boom. So then we will do Range 15. So you guys seen Range 15?
I have not. That's one of those I wanted to see it, and then I completely forgot about it.
Yeah, no?
So I'm actually glad that you mentioned it, Rupin, because now I can go see it.
I have not seen it. It does have a kind of a unique preface or premise to it.
Yeah, all I know is it's kind of like a zombie action comedy kind of thing, and it's all. And he's right about the veteran thing. The veterans and the guys at Range 15, and they teamed up with someone else. So it was Range 15 and someone else, right?
Okay, so we try to feature a gun-related movie every day, and today it's this one. There's definitely a gun one. So Range 15 is a place that was making clothes, like T-shirts and stuff, and they were social media presence. I don't think they did much on YouTube too much. They did like parody music video type of things on YouTube, but I think they were mostly on the Instagram and Facebook, that kind of social medias. And they got pretty big. So when they decided to do a movie, they did it on Kickstarter, and it became a pretty big project. And I think, I forget what their original goal was. I wasn't watching it that closely, but whatever their original goals was, they went well beyond that by millions of dollars, and started to create goals for, once they figured out how much it would cost to bring big name actors into it, like they started to bring big name actors into it, be able to afford that. So is that what you mean, like who they worked with there? Because they ended up being able to work with all kinds of like real actors and real names in the movie.
I guess I thought that there was like another, like a YouTube thing where all those guys are in it too.
I think it was the coffee one and the T-shirt one, and that was basically the ones that came together. But I don't, like I say, I don't pay that much attention. These were a bunch of veterans that definitely their theme of their videos and everything was always like their veteran status. Like it was a big portion of it was their veteran part. So when they came up with the idea for this movie, it was supposed to be gun people, veterans who were in a zombie apocalypse. So it's definitely a comedy. It's parodies all the other stuff that's out there, and just all kinds of movies. It's kind of like Airplane or something, where it's just a movie that exists so that they can say a bunch of jokes. It's just a ton of jokes that are kind of in order so that they kind of make a movie. There's sort of a plot to it, I guess, but it's mostly just a bunch of slapstick kind of comedy, and ended up being pretty decent, only because again they have so much money. It would have been hard to mess it up. I think it might be a little bit not everybody's taste or something, but I think it was definitely well made, and came out as a polished product, a well made movie. I think the phenomenon, though, is neat because, again, it's all about new media for me. I like the idea of media being created by the bottom end, by what people are interested in, and not just disseminated down from what somebody thinks or some poll says determines what people probably would like. So that you actually have somebody with an agenda creating. This way, people might have agendas. In fact, I'm sure they do, but they're creating from the bottom up. So I appreciate that type of content more. And this was an example of it catching fire with gas or something, like really catching on. And that same method, but with the amplified to the point where they had literally millions of dollars to work with. Kind of interesting.
Yeah. Well, I know they had the dude from The Walking Dead. What was it, Daryl's brother or whatever? I know he was in it. But anyways, yeah, it was one of those, like I said, I forgot about it till now. You know how sometimes it's like, oh yeah, I'll watch that movie eventually, and then you just kind of forget about them. That's what happened with this one.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, it's a neat movie. You can watch it once. I watched it once, and then I probably won't watch it again. I mean, it's not my type of movie, so it's definitely unique. And I imagine if you like it, you're gonna love it because then you can watch it over and over. There's just nothing but jokes in it and stuff. But you know, it's like watching Airplane or Police Academy or something. If it wasn't, you know, your main thing, then you could watch it once and get the idea of what it is.
Right. I just know from the YouTube side, like you said, they do like the rap videos or whatever. I kind of like their sense of humor. I think they're funny. So I just kind of assumed that I'd like it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the thing that Mike, I think, I'm hesitant about is that because it's way more a bunch of YouTube videos strung together than a movie. I guess if you sat down expecting a movie, you might be not satisfied. You know, might be like, this was basically like a shit ton of YouTube videos crammed together. But again, that probably comes from the source, like where they come from, making 3-minute things instead of 3-hour things. All right, well, that was our movie of the day. If you got movies, we do have a couple more coming up this week. Looks like we had suggestions coming in. So anybody that wants to, though, is more than encouraged to send us stuff in. Actually, it looks like I should have put that tomorrow, so we don't have one tomorrow. Now we do. So, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I was going to say that someone came in and said they can't wait to buy the documentary about the movie. It's called Not a War Story. So apparently they did like some behind-the-scenes documentary thing.
Oh, okay. I thought he was talking about a different movie. So, yeah, that would be actually very interesting, I think, just to hear the whole story of, you know, hey, let's make a Kickstarter project, and then, wow, it's taken off, and then, wow, it's gone beyond what we can imagine, and then, like, wow, look at these resources we have to work with, and then, yeah, like, you know, I'm assuming when they thought about it, they figured it would be like a 2-month process and they'd be done with it or something. And it probably ended up being a 2-year thing by the time it got such big scale.
So, anyways, yeah, that seems neat.
So I guess we're going to head over to events. Scrolling back up. Scrolling back over. Oh, I'm on the wrong tab. No wonder I can't see that. Yeah, events. So we head over to Gun Channels, and on the main page of Gun Channels, we have a display of the calendar over there. Here's so I can screen capture.
I clicked on you this time, so your thing will show up for everybody.
Okay.
Excellent.
So if you're on Gun Channels, you can either just go up to the top under Resources and click on Firearms Calendar, or just scroll down to the main page where the chat is over here. Somewhere down here, you're going to find the preview of the calendar, and that's usually what I use as a shortcut. So we are talking about shooting events that are coming up in the near future. So we always go to Gun Channels to find these out. So we encourage anybody that's listening that is involved with one of these events or an event that's not listed here, or you'd like to attend an event, use the Gun Channels calendar. Let people know about it. Since it's Monday, we talk about behind the scenes. This also adds another valid link out there on the internet back to that event, and that does help the event out itself, not just the website, but the event itself. When the internet decides what was this guy going to be interested in, you know, these reciprocating links and stuff all add to that equation. So you're literally helping the events out by posting them here as well. And then, like I said, there are quite a few people that hang out at gun channels, lots more than we see actually, using the site. So there's always a chance you're going to get some eyeballs of somebody who might be in the area and actually appreciate it. So we encourage you to use the calendar, so much so that every Monday we talk about it, what's coming up. So we've got the Connecticut Citizens Defense League has an annual picnic and then a poker run coming up over the next couple of weeks. And thanks to, I think, Cycle Camp post those in there for us. Then we've got a bullpup shoot coming up in, I think, Western Illinois, right? About halfway up and down Illinois over on the left side. And this is an event, I think it's in its third year or something, where a bunch of manufacturers and people that make accessories for the various big bullpup platforms like the Tavor get together and show off their wares. Media and people creating content are definitely encouraged to show up to this, as well as it's not too far from Chicago and St. Louis. So I guess they get probably a certain amount of people that they would consider like potential customers who get to show up and pull triggers. And we see things like another one we're about to talk about here that have gone under. They did not have enough participation to even continue happening. So this is the kind of thing where it happens at an outdoor range, and it brings together manufacturers and distributors and manufacturers of firearms as well as the accessories. It brings them together with their customers. So that's really a unique type of thing, and it's only happened here in the last few years that something like this would have been open to the public. So again, if you're able to get to something like this, highly encourage you to check it out. All the human beings that show up help the pictures make the place look full. I'm sure everybody that pays an admission to get into there, makes it a financial success for them. And anyway, we're looking forward to some coverage from that. I think the We Like Shooting people usually show up at that, as well as some of the others on Instagram that I follow that are from Illinois. We'll end up going to it probably by default because it's one of the few things that happens in that region there.
Nothing happens in that region. Nothing.
Well, except for that. And that's been going on for years now. And there was, let's not forget that there was a second bullpup shoot. There was some controversy behind this. I'm not a bullpup person, but from what I understand, the bullpup forums were divided. And when this one was created, I think this was the first one. It might be the other way around. A second one shot up over in Kentucky or someplace, maybe Indiana. And somewhere over there, a second shoot happened, and it was like on literally the same weekend. So, or maybe it was a weekend apart, but I think it might actually have been the same weekend. And it was the other manufacturers and distributors, I guess, who didn't get invited to this one, or whatever the division was. From what I understand, though, this is the one that prevailed. So there's a little bit of behind the scenes to that, which somebody could go out and discover and share with everybody. It might be interesting. Then we move back down to Arizona, where we have Territorial Days down in Tombstone. Tombstone, the city, does some different themes, and the Tombstone Territorial Days, I think, is their big one for the year. So it's going to be a little bit warm still in September, but it'll start to cool down a little bit here, so it might be pleasant to go down there. Then this Texas International Firearms Festival was another of these outdoor events that were set up at an outdoor range so people could pull triggers and then walk away, buy stuff and walk away with a gun. Unfortunately, it is no longer going to happen. So I leave it up there so that we can remember that these things are not guaranteed. Trump doesn't owe them to us. And our lack of participation, our disinterest, our apathy has consequences. So by boycotting an event like this one, you're making it go away. You've affected.
Well, I don't think people boycotted it. They just didn't get enough attendance.
Well, we can all look at it from our own perspective, I guess.
I think that the concept of what they were doing, I think is fantastic, because I've never heard of anything like it. The opportunity to go to a range and then say, let me try to shoot this gun. Oh, I really like this. I think I'll buy it. In fact, I'm going to buy this one. Is totally unique in my experience.
You're talking about the bullpup shoot that's happening within driving distance of you on September 9th?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about the Texas International Firearms Festival and the process in regards to selling firearms.
The one in a much more gun-friendly state, much more larger gun-friendly state that went under due to apathy, due to lack of interest.
Well, and maybe that explains the disappearance of history.
There you go. See, maybe they should put up a statue, and then a whole bunch of people would show up.
Yeah.
So then we get another thing that's happening in Dallas, which hopefully, and I'm assuming will not be
canceled
due to apathy, is the Gun Rights Policy Conference. So I keep talking about that one. When I was talking about the Patreon thingy over here, I definitely put in one of the destinations in there is Dallas, because that's an important one. I missed it last year in Florida, although Florida would have really been a challenge with the gas prices last year. The other van got even worse mileage. But Dallas is going to cost $480. It's going to take 200 or 2,200 miles to get over there. But that's so that it can get over to the Gun Rights Policy Conference, where all the gun owners' rights groups get together in one conference room, basically, and go through. Each one takes the stage. They talk about what they've done, what they've got going on, what they see as a need for the future, what resources they might be in need. And then the next group gets up. They'll have some writers and radio show people and stuff like that talk as well. And it's a great place to network. It's a great way to recharge your Second Amendment batteries. I've talked about it before. One of the reasons we do this segment of the show is to let people know about these events, but also the significance of them, right? So people talk about going to SHOT Show. They talk about going to the NRA show. Those are great as an entertainment thing or as a way to get together with friends and check out stuff. But none of that stuff is possible without the freedom, right? The rights that we have that are guaranteed by the Constitution, and the people that fight for those are the people that show up for this. And I think I talked about it too long last week, but I'm gonna do it again. If you've got time to spend and you've got money to devote to things that are important to you, this is the kind of thing that you might want to check out at least once. And this, I think, is a time in our lifetimes, in our life of being politically and active in the community. We have a certain amount of time for that. And if you're able to, I believe this is a strategically important year to get to the Gun Rights Policy Conference. It'd be great to see this place busting at the seams at a time when apathy seems to be prevailing. So let's combat that. And I want to at least give people the concept of, if you can get away on that weekend, end of September, beginning of October, and you can do one thing this year to actually do something for gun rights, I think physically showing up and being able to network with some of these people, get inspired, get just let some of their habits and some of their interests kind of rub off on you. Just being in the room with them, that's going to happen. Trust me. I think that's something you might want to experience. So we'll keep going. Then we have the Cartridge Show in Ohio. Definitely would like to check that out. I stuck those in here 2 years ago, I think, at the beginning of the tour last year, because I really would like to get out to some of these cartridge shows. I personally want to start collecting ammo more than guns, and I'd like to check out some of these gun shows that are just for cartridge collectors. So it's not my personal calendar. I posted those. Cycle Camp posted the stuff about Connecticut. Feel free to post anything that might be of interest to you that's gun related. The worst that'll happen is we talk about it on the show here, and it's specific and people don't care about it. But like I say, it is helping the event out, and it's getting the word out there about it. The next thing up on the list is the Trinity Site Tour. So that's in New Mexico. If you want to go see where the first atomic device was detonated, they take you out twice a year. You have an opportunity to drive in there. It's like 176 miles into the White Sands Missile Base, to give you some idea of scale. And then you get to actually stand in the spot where the first nuke happened. So it's kind of interesting, and I definitely would like to do that one day. So I keep putting it in here. It's also only happens twice a year, so it's easy to add to the calendar. Then we get the machine gun shoots coming up. The Knob Creek one is listed here. The Big Sandy one will be coming up in October as well. Those are definitely fun to check out. Then you get the, let's see, National Association of Sporting Goods Wholesalers is the, however you say, the NASGWA show. And it's basically like, what is this one? This one is very much like SHOT Show, except for it's for sporting goods stores. So unlike that one other one I've talked about, which is for like outdoor camping stores, this one is for sporting goods stores. So they do have guns at it. And it's just
I was going to ask, don't they still have like, bows and compound bows and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, everything you'd find at like the store we just looked at, Jay's, like they'll have it here. So SHOT Show will have like guns and pants and boots and safes and smokers and Velcro and buttons and everything. This place won't have the Velcro and buttons and like steel, suppliers for people that are making steel targets or something. But they'll have the steel targets and they'll have the camping gear. Probably more camping gear than SHOT Show even. I haven't ever been to it, and I believe this one travels around, so it's not in the same place every year. From my experience, it's the guys from Gun Blast that go to this all the time. So I think this might be like Lipsy's or one of those distributors who run this one. So it might be on a scale of a distributor's influence, like just all the stuff the distributor carries, not necessarily like SHOT Show, which is everything the industry carries. So anyway, I keep it in here because it's interesting, and I would like to see somebody who's maybe more local to it who can get to it, because all I ever see is Gun Blast, and they talk about some guns. I don't know if you ever watch their stuff. They talk about the guns, but they don't really ever talk about the show they're at. All right, so that was the calendar. There's lots more stuff in there, but it comes up after the little summary of it here. So once you get into October, there's some more stuff as the weather gets nicer. I've posted some stuff over at Gun Show Review. So we have a website for gun shows. And since we're planning on being on the road here sooner than later, oops, let's not log in. Just go to the main website. If you head over to Gun Shows, there's also a Gun Show calendar over here. And I've got the gun show calendars listed for Arizona, New Mexico, Nevada, Texas, and Utah, all the states that I potentially could be going to a gun show in. You go into some of the states like Nevada, there's a bunch. If I went into, I was trying to click on New Mexico, there's only 3. So there's not very many options, some of these states. And, you know, that'll help determine which ones we can get to and which ones are worth setting up at. But hopefully this is a resource for people that might be thinking about going to a gun show. Or whatever event you might have. I guess I'm asking you to post it in the calendar. All right, no, I'm not screen sharing anymore. So I think with that, we're about done with Monday's stuff.
We got gun history.
Uh-oh, yeah, there is a gun history today. It sucks though. I'm gonna go look at the page and see if anything better is happening today.
Sounds good.
Napoleon defeated by somebody. That's always good. Lincoln Douglas debates started today. Confederate General A.P. Hill attacks Union troops in Petersburg. His attack is repulsed, resulting in heavy Confederate casualties.
It didn't happen.
Yeah, I was gonna say they should just pull down that statue, and that never happened. Hawaii is admitted into the Union. 1959, we stole Hawaii from the ocean and took it. 1959, today, Hawaii was admitted into the Union.
Well, no, they were already a territory, so really, we had them by the kahunas before that, or by the coconuts.
In 1968. So we already had took over Hawaii in 1959. In 1968, Soviet forces invade Czechoslovakia because of country's experiments with a more liberal government. So they didn't like the way they were behaving, and they took them. 1960. Yep. Let's see. Britain. Let's see. East Sussex. Britain's first firewoman happened today in 1976. Sexists. Oh, 1989, Voyager 2 began a flyby of Neptune. And let's see, is anybody good born today? Kenny Rogers. Got no one to hold him, no one to fold him, no one to walk away, no one to run. Oh, and then the guy who created Google. So anyway, that was all the boring stuff. Then we have wrote gun history today, Ruby Ridge. So let me grab that out of the annals over here, and I'll screen capture that. So do you guys think this is worth dredging up every year, or let it rest like a Civil War statue? Just leave it be, tear it down.
I think it's worth bringing up every year, because if you don't remember the past, how can you prevent the same thing from happening in the future?
Yeah, I'm not always. I do have a little bit of back and forth when I post it, because it's the FBI, and I would rather, be pro FBI. I have no interest in being anti FBI, but yeah, hold their fucking feet to the fire. They went out there and murdered people, and we don't live in that country. And I don't like the idea of just standing there and not talking about things that are embarrassing or uncomfortable. So I guess I post it with the hold their feet to the fire and let's never forget that these rogue sons of bitches killed people, and they did it under all of our names, the same as if a Marine would have done it or a Air Force pilot would have done it, right?
Although clearly, the vast majority of what they do is good, we need to be aware of these things like this because not everything they do is good.
That's a really good point too. Yeah, and that's why I guess there's some. I'm not just anti-FBI or something.
So whether it's FBI, CIA, ATF, go right down the alphabet soup.
And this was a weird time, and that's where maybe it helps to throw some perspective on it. Is one of the reasons I guess we throw these things out there, right? So this happened today. We can't do nothing about it. Also happens to be the day of the eclipse, but this is happening when, beginning of this show, we got way off topic. And that was, again, me retaliating to some of the stuff some of the guys have been saying on some of these chats with, just shaking their fist at this guy is what I see it. Like, oh, the world is so horrible. It's so bad. It's so bad. Well, remember in 1992? Remember when the Cold War was barely over? We were just getting done with the Cold War. We had not yet gone to extensive wars in the deserts, right? We had extensive wars in jungles. We were still in green, BDUs and stuff. So in the 90s, the early 90s, we had this, and then we had stupid, Oklahoma City, and then the first Twin Tower bullshit. So we were living in a time when we thought that there was definitely some internal potential strife or stress or whatever you want to call it. And I remember driving around back then, being in the country, driving around the country and stuff. And there was tension in the air. Like I don't know. So I guess that's one of the reasons I like to look at what's happening now with a grain of salt and go, come on, this ain't as bad as all that. It ain't as bad as stuff I can remember as times as I can remember. Something
that is very different, but somewhat similar is some of the incidents that have happened with the BLM. Again, the vast majority of what the BLM does is good, but some of what they do is at least questionable.
Well, yeah, and that's one of the reasons I think, again, there's way more reason to be optimistic than there is to be pessimistic about things, because this last time at whose ranch was that? I can't remember. The Bundy Ranch, where all those
Bundy Ranch was first, and then that park district or that park office was the second one.
Honestly, we could go into that probably as a whole nother subject. That one, it seems, was more engineered than the first was more organic. They couldn't have possibly anticipated the amount of support they had with armed, polite, non-violent opposition to the situation there. And the way that happened, the way that it went down with absolutely no violence, but with ultimate potential for violence, I think is an inspiration and a reason for us to be more than optimistic about the future. That second one is definitely related, but not the same type of thing, if that makes sense, right?
Yep. Very true.
So anyway, I think that this is something that's it's a piece of history, and unlike a Civil War statue, shouldn't be just torn down.
Stop throwing darts at me.
Nah, the people that I'm probably replying to aren't even listening to the show. In fact, they're probably not listening to the show.
No, I don't think they are.
But what happened to my other thing? There it is. So I think we're about done. So tomorrow will be episode 382. It'll be Second Amendment issues. So why is the second not first? We'll be talking about the state of Colorado. We have a wild card segment. So anybody wants to suggest some segment ideas, feel free. We will do Rambo First Blood Part 2. Tomorrow is the movie. So if you want to watch that one in preparation, feel free. It's a good movie. And let's see. That means it's Monday. I just got a link to Matt, who probably already started 4 minutes ago because we're running late. But it's Monday, so that means that Matt will be doing his nerd show, bunch of geeks and nerds. And then Hawaii Volcano Squad will be doing his Locked and Loaded.
Yep.
Then I'm not sure if we like shooting poster stuff or not. They haven't been doing their chats over here, so I haven't been paying as much attention. But they've obviously been cooking with gas over there. They had that Boda guy on last week. So they're definitely kicking it up. So that's another podcast to listen to. Tomorrow will be Tuesday, so I'd recommend listening to the Good Morning Gun Channels over on Gun Channels Lobby most of the day, at least wherever you are in the country, your late morning or mid morning till this show starts. The guys will do a long format show that's got a couple of formatted things in it, but otherwise it's open ended and kind of talking about topics of the day. And super interesting. I was listening to NPR a little bit this morning, and yeah, the daily whatever's on either Early Watch or Good Morning Gun Channels is a billion times better than listening to stupid NPR. Then we'll be back tomorrow. So
with that, I think we've wrapped it up. Unless anybody has anything they want to promote or mention. All right. Then I'm going to go ahead and we always like to end the show with a quote. Today I have one from Noah Webster. And for those of you youngins that may not know, Webster as in Webster's Dictionary. That Noah Webster. The quote is as follows. Before a standing army can rule, the people must be disarmed, as they are in almost every European country. So with that, thank you, and please be prepared.
The guys and gals of GunWebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thanks for watching GunWebsites.com.